Okay, so when your beautiful kit arrives, you've got your thread, you've got your Aida, you've got the design, and then you've got your cross-stitch chart. And you might wonder where it is that you start on the chart. So to begin with, I would say you want to find the middle point on your Aida. So to do this, you fold it in half, like this, and press that, and then you fold it in half again and press that. So this center edge here, right in the middle, that will be the very center point of your Aida. So when you open your Aida back out, you can see here where this bend, where the two bends were, that will be the center point of your Aida. Now what I like to do is put just a teeny tiny stitch right at that center point. So I'm just using, I'm not tying a knot, I'm not securing the thread or anything like this, because this is going to come undone. This is just to help me remember where that center point is. Take that off the needle, and then if you want to, you can see that tiny stitch there. If you want to, you can then iron this to make sure that these folds come out of it, and then you can pop it in a hoop. Then once it's in a hoop, and you can see I've still got this stitch that I did at the center point of the Aida, so I know kind of where to match it up with the pattern. You're ready to then start finding the center point on your pattern, so you can start cross stitching. Now the first thing I would recommend doing is checking the orientation of the pattern. Now what I mean by this is this pattern is square, so it doesn't really matter which way I put the Aida into the hoop because it's even all the way around. Some patterns, such as this one, might have a different orientation. So this one you can see is going to be landscape because the Aida goes across and it's not a square design or a round design. You need to make sure you put the Aida in the hoop the right way. So when doing that, you would want to make sure that your Aida is landscape so that it matches the pattern, and then that way when you put it into the hoop, you can make sure that the center point on this pattern will be landscape, the center point on the Aida will be landscape, and then it will match the orientation of the design that you're doing. So if I go back to this one, so again I found that center point on the Aida. You then want to go to your pattern and find the center point on the pattern. Now this is really, really clever on here because you can see that it's already been done for you. So if you see a cross, sometimes it might be a little arrow or a dot. That will show you where the halfway point on your pattern is at the top. And then if you look here, you can see there's another mark, and that will show you the halfway point, the center point down the side. So what you want to do is follow these two lines across until they meet at the middle, and that will be the very center point of your pattern, which will correlate with the center point of your Aida. So I quite like to use a ruler to do this. And by doing this, I'm going to, let me see if I can line this all up on here. So following where that cross is at the top, I'm then going to put my ruler all the way down, and that will give me that center line all the way through. And then I should have got another ruler, but I didn't have one, so I'm actually going to use the edge of the paper here. And I'm finding that center point here and following it all the way across until the two meet. Now I can see it's this specific point here. So at this point, I'm going to use a pencil. You could use a biro or kind of whatever works for you. And I'm going to circle what that center stitch is. And the reason I do it in pencil means that I can then rub it out afterwards if I want to. Or I might not, because if I redo the pattern, then it's already done. So I followed the line down from that center point at the top, and I followed it across from the side. And this will be the very, very center of my cross stitch on the pattern. So I can then look at what the thread is that needs to be. I've got my needles threaded up, and it means that where I did that first stitch here on the Aida, I can now do that first stitch and it will match with the pattern. So what I'm going to do is I've come up here, I then pull out that thread that I did that original stitch with, take that off, and then that center stitch now correlates with that center point on the pattern. So that is how you work out where to start on your pattern and how it works on the Aida. The other top tip I would say is that if you like to kind of stitch in rows or kind of work your way down, then what you could do, so this is the very centre stitch on there, but you can see actually there's 2 stitches above it. So if you wanted to kind of do a straight row there, then you could do it by, so if that yellow thread was still there to mark the centre of my pattern, the centre of my Aida, sorry, you would then count up 2 stitches. So that would go up 1, 2, and I'm just going to wiggle my needle in a little bit so I can see that that's where it would start. And you can then start your cross stitch there, which would enable you to do a straight line all the way down as per the pattern and then back up. So it's kind of working out where that centre point is on your pattern, work out where the centre point is on your Aida, and then you can start following the pattern as it says in order for you to create your very own design.